Welcome to the deep dive.
It's great to be here.
So today we're cracking open a company that, its name has become pretty much synonymous with the internet itself.
It really has. Yeah.
We're talking about Google, of course. Or I guess more accurately, we should be saying Alphabet now.
Right. The vast umbrella that is Alphabet.
Yeah.
Just think about that scale for a moment. It's kind of staggering.
It is. This company was founded, 1998 as a relatively simple search engine.
That's it. And since then, it's just exploded. It has transformed itself into one of the most powerful economic and, informational forces the world has ever seen.
And that transformation, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't passive at all.
No, not at all. Our mission today really is to analyze the core business model behind that growth. It's a model that successfully took things like our attention and our raw user data, which are, intangible resources.
Right.
And it transformed them into some of the world's most valuable economic assets.
And we've based this analysis on a really detailed business case study. It basically dissects the mechanics of this, of market dominance, of this precision data monetization, and of course the regulatory challenges that come with that power.
And that study reveals two foundational strategic pillars.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get your head around these two concepts, you basically understand the entire success of the company.
Okay, what are they?
First, it's the maintenance of a near monopoly status in online search. And second, it's the really sophisticated, highly profitable system of data monetization that underpins all their targeted advertising.
And I imagine they reinforce each other.
Continuously. We're going to chart exactly how they do that.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundation, pillar one. I mean, for most of us, if you're looking for information, preparing for a meeting, you start at Google.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that translate from just a market share number into, actual overwhelming market power? What does that control look like on a day-to-day basis?
It looks like near total control. From a market structure perspective, Google operates under conditions that academics would call monopoly or dominant firm status.
So this isn't just about being the most popular.
No, it's not just about winning the race. This means one business fundamentally controls the entire structure of the market. I mean, to give you some context, for every 10 internet searches made globally, Google typically handles about 9 of them.
9 out of 10. That's just a staggering level of control.
And it's not passive control either.
Yeah.
That dominance grants extraordinary leverage over the whole digital landscape.
Yeah.
We're talking about influencing 3 critical areas globally.
Okay.
First, how people access information. They are, for all intents and purposes, the default gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Second, they dictate how businesses can reach their customers.
They control the visibility.
Exactly. And third, and this is maybe the most important part, they influence how entire digital markets function worldwide because they set the rules of the game for billions of users and millions of businesses. That's pillar one. Unparalleled influence from search dominance.
So once you have that captive audience, that level of dominance, how do you turn that influence into, astronomical revenue? That must bring us to the architecture of their business model.
It does, and the case study describes it perfectly as a two-sided platform.
A two-sided platform, so like a marketplace.
In a way, yeah, it's an engine that connects two very distinct groups.
Mm-hmm.
On the first side, you've got us, the users.
Right.
We get all this incredible utility, free access to a whole suite of services. We get search, Gmail, Maps, the massive scale of YouTube.
All at no direct monetary cost.
Correct. And then on the second side, of course, you have the businesses, the advertisers.
And they're the ones paying a premium to reach that huge, captive, and I guess highly engaged user base on the other side.
That's the model. It sounds simple, but getting it started is incredibly hard. It's often called the chicken and egg problem. You need users to get advertisers, but you need advertisers to fund the services to get users.
The hardest part.
But once that platform gets going, it synthesizes into this self-reinforcing dynamic. It's known as the network effect.
And this is where the growth loop becomes sort of perpetual.
Yeah, exactly. As Google attracts more users to its free services on side one,
the platform becomes way more attractive to the advertisers on side two.
Exponentially more attractive. And then the money from those advertisers
gets cycled right back into the platform.
Precisely. That increased advertising revenue lets Google invest continuously in improving and expanding those free services. Making search algorithms faster, their AI smarter, their video platforms more engaging.
And those better services then attract even more users.
And the cycle repeats, reinforcing growth on both sides. It creates this incredibly deep moat around the business that makes it, well, almost impossible for smaller competitors to catch up. They just can't match that level of continuous investment.
So the core value isn't just the huge number of users, it's the data those users are generating.
Ah, yes.
This is where we stop talking about abstract metrics and we get into the actual behavioral signals, the invisible trail we all leave every day that fuels this whole business. This brings us right to pillar 2, the profit machine, precision data monetization.
And the sources for this are just. They're extensive. They paint an incredibly detailed picture of our behavior. We're generating data with every single search query we type.
Okay.
Every location signal our phone transmits, every video we watch, every website we visit that's tracked through their network. This constant real-time flow of information is the raw material.
And this raw material lets them do something that traditional advertising could only, dream of.
That is the absolute critical distinction. It's what makes their advertising so extraordinarily effective and so profitable. Think about traditional advertising for a second.
A print ad, a TV commercial.
Yeah, exactly. By necessity, that was targeting really broad demographic groups. You might advertise running shoes during a sports event, aiming for, adults age 25-45 with an active lifestyle.
I'd say it was broad strokes, a bit of a spray and pray approach, really.
Totally. Comparatively, yeah. But what Google offers is something far more surgical.
They're not just targeting demographics, they're targeting intent.
Exactly. Google allows firms to reach users based on real-time intent, interests, and demonstrated behavior patterns. So if you go and search for, say, best trail running shoes for marathon training,
Right.
an advertiser can reach you specifically because of that immediate expressed intent, literally, while you are thinking about buying that product.
Which transforms advertising from a hopeful guess into a surgical strike.
It does. And the result of that precision, as the source material notes, is that it dramaturgically increases advertising effectiveness.
And that effectiveness must translate directly into a financial model that is just remarkably profitable. Why is this high-margin digital business so much more successful than, say, a traditional manufacturing business?
It all comes down to the cost structure. So Google had to build these massive data centers, complex algorithms. That was the huge upfront investment.
Sure, the initial setup cost is enormous.
Right. But once that infrastructure is in place, the financial math changes completely. The ad revenue generates such strong profitability because the marginal cost of serving an additional digital advertisement is extremely low.
So you mean the cost of showing one more targeted ad to one more user is pretty much zero?
Essentially, yes. Unlike printing another newspaper or buying more airtime on TV where your variable costs are significant, the cost of serving that next digital ad is negligible.
They're not dealing with inventory or physical distribution.
None of that. They've done the heavy lifting already. And everything that comes after, the billions of targeted ads they serve every day, that is what economists call a high-margin revenue stream. That efficiency is the true profitability engine of Pillar 2.
Okay, so we've got the dominance in search, we've got the precision in advertising, but a company this big, a behemoth like Alphabet, must have to aggressively defend this core data model.
Constantly.
So how do they fortify and expand their operations? Through, horizontal integration and innovation.
Their defense strategy is layered. But a huge piece of that strategic reinforcement comes from Android, their mobile operating system. This is basically the moat around their castle.
Right, the Android advantage. It's not just about making phones work. It's about controlling the default entry point for billions of people.
Absolutely. Android dominates the global smartphone market, and by controlling the operating system on billions of devices, Google gets this powerful strategic advantage. They ensure their services, search, maps, Gmail are the default, tightly integrated experience.
Which controls the path to information.
It expands their data collection reach way beyond just the desktop search box. And critically, it protects their advertising dominance by making it really painful for a user to switch to a competitor's services.
And alongside mobile, there are the massive investments in AI. The sources highlight Google not just as a player, but as a world leader and a major investor in artificial intelligence.
AI is the brain running the whole system. It's not some separate feature. It underpins almost everything they do.
Okay.
It's what makes the recommendation systems on YouTube so compelling, what makes the search algorithm so accurate, what allows voice assistants to work. This continuous investment ensures the service quality is always improving, which, keeps the platform sticky.
Right. Keeps users there.
While at the same time increasing their operational efficiency through things like smarter fraud detection and automation.
And that engine, that fire hose of cash from the advertising machine that funds these really aggressive diversification efforts. They're spreading their risk.
That's right. That financial strength lets them venture into huge, long-term markets. We're talking cloud computing, autonomous vehicles, healthcare tech, specialized hardware.
So they're not just resting on search and ads.
No way. These high-risk, high-reward portfolios mean they aren't relying on only existing products for their future. They are literally buying strategic resilience through aggressive innovation.
But when you achieve that kind of scale and influence, when you are the default gatekeeper for the world's information, that size inevitably casts a huge regulatory shadow.
It certainly does.
So what does this all mean for the business going forward, especially with all this increasing scrutiny and calls for accountability?
Well, the regulatory challenges are intense, and they are growing globally, from the EU, the US, Asia. Governments are getting more and more concerned about the potential negative consequences of this level of centralized control.
A major focus seems to be market dominance and abuse of competition law.
That's a big one.
We hear about investigations into search ranking priorities all the time. That's where we get the jargon like platform self-preferencing. Can you just break down what that actually means for us?
Sure, it means using their control over the search engine, that gatekeeper function we talked about, to prioritize and push their own products.
Like Google Flights or Google Shopping.
Exactly. Pushing those above maybe more deserving competitors in the search results. And regulators view this practice as anti-competitive behavior. They argue it stifles innovation and it limits consumer choice.
And the scrutiny isn't just about market control, it's also about the fuel source itself, the data.
And this is maybe the single biggest existential threat to their core business model: data privacy, as governments around the world introduce stricter data protection laws.
Like new consent requirements and data minimization rules.
Precisely. As those come into play, Google's ability to just collect and monetize user data becomes more and more restricted. This forces costly adaptations, sometimes even requiring fundamental changes to how they track users, all just to defend the profitability of their ad operations.
It sounds like a constant, really high-stakes balancing act.
It is a profound corporate tension. I mean, Google has to constantly balance four competing demands. First, you have shareholder expectations for continued aggressive profit growth.
Of course.
Second, maintaining user trust in how their, very intimate data is being handled. Third, meeting all the demands of government regulators. And fourth, this growing expectation of social responsibility, especially around their control of information and misinformation.
So if we zoom out to the bigger picture, the central lesson from this whole case study seems pretty clear. The control of data and attention is now highly, highly economically powerful.
Potentially more powerful than the value from traditional physical assets.
Yeah.
Data is the ultimate leverage point now.
That power is not frictionless.
No, it inevitably attracts all this ethical, regulatory, and political scrutiny that constantly challenges the company's foundations and, reshapes its long-term strategy. It forces these constant public pivots.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought to mull over. Given the proven effectiveness and, profitability of highly targeted advertising driven by real-time user intent, which, as we've discussed, is Google's bread and butter, how does the rapid shift of our own consumer behavior, specifically the increased use of walled garden platforms like social media and short-form video, how does that force Google to continuously defend its core search dominance while also trying to expand its data collection reach into those competing formats? Where does the next great battle for your attention take place? We appreciate you joining us for the deep dive.